Right. So first of all, I just wanted to recognize that this live learning lab is a beta version of a learning lab. Now, what you'll see is slides. Some of them may not have the bells and whistles, but the content's there. And the purpose of these sessions is to bring us together to learn together in a community that's welcoming and with a marketing focus for mums that are busy doing their jobs and are busy raising families. So that's the purpose of the AI Live Learning Lab. And if you want the too long, don't read version, this is all about saying goodbye to your boring tasks for good and winning back time in your day. Because if we can win back more time in our day, then it's about being able to do the things that we love and the things that matter most. And that's what really motivates me to bring all of this great learning to you. So today I'm just going to do a couple of slides that will introduce the AI Learning Lab. We'll go all in on ChatGPT and look at what makes prompting great. We'll look at some good and some bad prompts and how to optimize those. We'll then go into personalizing ChatGPT so it becomes an even better AI assistant for you. Then we'll look at setting up projects and how we share those projects with our teams and how we can build upon them. And then just around, if we're not already using tasks, how do we just set up tasks that can help take out some of the actions that we do on a daily basis and just have them there for ChatGPT to do them for us in the background. Okay, if you've got any questions, then definitely pop them on the chat. If you want to, while I'm speaking, type in and say hi, ask questions. The chat is very much there for you to use at any point in time. If I'm going too fast, pop it in the chat, slow down, or just speak up. Totally don't mind if you have a question that you want to ask, jump in by all means. This is very much a session for you guys just to come along, ask your questions, get feedback. So everything you can add will be really great and really beneficial for the session here.
Hey, Philippa. Sorry, can I just a quick question before you jump into it? Are these sessions going to be recorded or will we get notes after? I'm just thinking about note taking and that.
Yeah, 100%. So these sessions will be recorded and their links will be dropped into the Slack chat. A lot of reference guides and cheat sheets will also be distributed. So you'll have a lot of go-to, easy to access guides. For example, what makes a great prompt? What makes ChatGPT a great AI tool versus Claude versus Gemini versus Perplexity, for example. So lots of reference tools for you to use. Great question. Thank you. Right. So over the next 4 weeks, it's really exciting because this AI Live Learning Lab really has marketing at its heart. And I'm going to be joined by some expert AI builders and leaders in their fields to come and share how they're actually using AI in their daily tasks. So this week we've got Gar Kerman from Superhuman AI coming in, and she's really passionate about sharing with you all of the hacks that she uses to optimize her day, make it more productive, and deal with all of the family tasks and the work tasks that come up. Next week, we've got Maddie King. So Maddie King's a marketeer at heart. She's recently created an app called Launchbot, which is all around helping marketeers do marketing more easily. But she'll tell us and take us through her journey of getting a product to market using AI, including how she's even developed creative content using AI tools. Then the following week, we've got Mike from Overdose Digital. He's also just set up the AI Corner, which is New Zealand's biggest platform for AI information and news articles. And so he'll come in and also talk about how he uses AI to optimize his day, especially from a how to analyze data perspective. And then the last week's all about agent building. And we've teamed up with AutoHive because AutoHive has a very simple, easy to use interface for building agents. We've got a session with Joe. He'll take us through how to build one. And then we've got Zhang, who'll really show us all of the agents she uses in her day to help her with her marketing tasks. So they're the AI leaders and experts that will be coming into our program. So I'm really excited about those guys. And so I think the big question really is over the next 4 weeks, what are you guys going to get out of it? Where are you going to be at the end of October 30? Well, I definitely think you are going to be running a very or highly personalized personal AI assistant, right? Whether that's ChatGPT, Claude, or Copilot. You'll definitely have the tools, but also the knowledge and the workflows to start really producing killer creative content. And so start thinking about the stuff that you can do. So that's a huge amount of time being saved at work, at home, especially with some of the tools and the hacks that Gal will be sharing with us on Thursday around work and home life productivity. And I think really at the back of this, you guys are going to get exposed to so much AI knowledge, AI learning, that you will be able to go back into the workplace and talk really knowledgeably about AI in a way that perhaps you've never done before. So you can sort of start to think of yourself as a real AI leader off the back of this. Okay, I hope that sounds good. I hope that sounds exactly what we're all here to do. Save time, become an AI leader. So let's kick on. Right, so just back to the agenda. So for those of you who are visual, this is what it looks like. ChatGPT 5, personalization today, win your day with AI on Thursday. Week 2 is about producing killer content with AI. That's imagery, video, putting it all together, how to take a product to market, the steps and the workflows for doing that. Week 3, we dive back into ChatGPT and do more automation, custom GPTs. And then the Thursday is around how do we use AI to forecast, to look at data, to analyze it, to do it, to work really hard for us. And then week 4, let's think about agent building to save 30 minutes a day and creating agents for marketing tasks. Okay, so that's it. You guys should all have the meetings in your diaries, all good to go. Any problems, just give me a message on Slack at any time. Okay, cool. So let's kick into the session and let's start sharing all about how to do amazing prompting. Now, the first question I have for you guys is, and you can just write a yes or a no in the chat. How do you feel about your prompting? Do you feel confident that you'll get a great response or not so confident? So if you just want to put a little note, and that might be a yes or a no, or I have no idea what output I'm getting anytime I prompt. So it'd be great to see how you guys are feeling about that and your experiences. Emil's yes, relatively confident, fairly confident. Cool. All right, let's kick into it. So I have a very simple slide in essence, but it's designed to make a point around the huge difference between a bad prompt and a good prompt, and a huge difference that just even a couple of words can make when prompting. Okay. And that is even just a couple of seconds that it takes to add in a few words that can make such a difference. And so the example was very simple. Okay, let's just take, for example, write me a post about the online platform, wellspirit.com. So just adding a couple of words, tone, audience, length, format. We will see when we just run this demo very quickly in a moment, the difference it makes. And so we've added into this prompt here, write 120 words. So we've basically limited the length. We've given it a tone, warm. We've given a bit more direction, the type of language we want to create, UK English. Personally, I don't like Zs in my words instead of S's. For mums and marketing, we're starting to talk about an audience, and we're starting to now talk about format, headline, bullets, and call to action, right? So a couple more words, it can make a huge difference. And so actually, rather than me do this, I'd love you guys to put this into your ChatGPT. Hopefully you guys have got the page open. If not, just plug it into your browser. So just give it a go. And then you guys can tell me what you think when it comes back, anything you note in particular about what it's been able to do for you. It's cool. And actually by typing in these prompts, it's actually quite good because we're going to do an exercise in a moment where I will need you to copy and paste those prompts and put it into another page. And we're going to play around with it. So if you can just spend the time to write it here and let me know with a thumbs up in the chat when you're done. That would be great. Cool. We've got a thumbs up. Let me know. Fantastic. We've got some ticks. Excellent. Right. Now, a tip for some of you that are really great at prompting, you're like, I know this. Well, if you guys are setting up perhaps agents in the future, which are using a structured prompt to create not one LinkedIn post at a time, but maybe 50 LinkedIn posts, and ChatGPT will run it, create 50 different posts for you, and you wanted to put it into a CRM, that's when you would use a structured JSON prompt, like the one I've put down below, which would be headline, bullet, CTA, and that prompt can be its guiding style for it to create as many LinkedIn posts as you would like it to, that can automatically be transferred into, for example, a Google document for the future when you want to post. Okay, so that's just an example of a structured JSON prompt, which can come handy when you're starting to build agents down the line. All right, let's move on, guys. So that's our demo done. So I just want to talk about what makes a great prompt. Now, this is going into more detail. It's, as you know, a great prompt is all about good communication. It's like briefing a new coworker. And right now, out there in the world of LinkedIn and AI training platforms, there's a million acronyms that people are talking about in terms of what makes a great prompt. What I have given us on the left-hand side of the slide is just the simple four words of role, task, context, and format. Okay, so that's definitely what Google Gemini would champion as their defining format for prompting. And I think it's really on point. Okay, we'll talk about limitations and reasoning in a minute. But if you can't remember role, task, context, format when you come to prompt, then what I always advise is just think about, and it's something like you do anyway when you brief or when you storytell, you're always thinking about the who, the what, the when, the where, the why, and the how. It's what we are always doing when we're briefing a coworker and thinking to ourselves. So if you can think of that, those W's and the how, then that's really going to set you up for success. And then when you prompt, and these map together. So when you think around who, you are asking ChatGPT to be in terms of its role or persona. It's very much asking it to act like something or be like something. And this might be a generalist or it might be very tight, specific persona briefing. And that could be an example of, I want you to be a CMO in a Fortune 500 SaaS company operating in X industry with X amount years of experience in such and such area. That would be going and defining your persona or role extremely. Okay. If you want to be a bit more general, then it might be act like a expert LinkedIn copywriter who is great at doing X, or an expert in X type of field. So that just gives a bit of a flavor for the role and the persona. So when we come to the task, that's all about defining what it is you want ChatGPT and when you want it to be done. And this is all around providing as much context as possible. And that can be giving it documents to understand around the background of your company. It could be your tone of voice documents. It could be briefing documents. It could be examples of imagery, for example. As much context as you can give it will help you create the better prompt. Where can also be useful for prompting. So where is often the steps that you need would need ChatGPT to take. So if you're asking for something complex, which might be, I need a new town hall document, run sheet and outline for how we would actually implement a town hall next Friday, you might actually need to specify to ChatGPT that you would first of all like a brainstorm of ideas that you might need to sign off with your manager. Then you might need to ask, I actually want an outline for how this would actually work. And then I want a run sheet. So being clear on what those sort of steps and what you want it to do is really important. Just like you would if you were briefing a new brand assistant. The why can also be, in fact, essential. So this is all around the goals and the outcomes that you want. So when you think about prompting for a LinkedIn post, you're always going to be talking to it. I want a LinkedIn post that's either going to deliver maximum impressions, or it's going to deliver me maximum engagement. Or you might be really specific to say, I need it to hit 1,000 impressions based on the average of what I have been receiving in the last week. So that will really help ChatGPT to be even more specific of getting you closer to the success that you need coming off the back of that prompt. Even examples of what success could look like from previous LinkedIn posts, for example, that have performed really well, will also help it to know what success looks like. And then the how. define the output format. And we saw that in a really quick example before, right? Just when we're asking it to put in bullet points, whether we want it to be in concise language. So for me, if I'm doing a LinkedIn post prompt, I will be as specific to the prompt as saying, I want a headline to be no more than 120 characters, if that's right on the top of my head, because I know that if it's more than 120 characters, it'll come onto the second line. So that's how specific I will be. And I'll also be asking ChatGPT to leave a gap between my headline and the rest of the content, because we know that sometimes that can perform particularly well. And then I'll be asking for it to be bullet points. I'll ask it for call to actions. I'll ask it for the hashtag. So that's how specific I would get to in asking for a formatted LinkedIn post. And so, of course, when it comes to a strategic document, then you need to think through what does success look like when it comes to the format of what you want to deliver it for you. And then last of all, we've talked about tone. Or touched on it. We'll talk about tone in terms of custom instructions, but tone's essential. We really need to always ensure that we're specific to ChatGPT and the tone that we want. So we can either set that up in the back end, or we can give it examples of what that tone looks like from previous work, or we can ask ChatGPT to summarize the tone from previous works and then use that for your prompt. And we'll talk about how we do that in a moment. So last of all, might be relevant for when you prompt is setting the limitations. And we saw that example before with the word count that we used. Definitely restricted topics or restricted words. So sometimes I don't like LinkedIn posts being framed up for Wellspirit if they're framing up the challenges that mums face in a negative way, for example. So I always talk to ChatGPT to make sure that things are always optimistic and framed in that way. And then last of all, reasoning. Sometimes it's really important if you're working on more complex tasks or strategic to ask ChatGPT why it's recommending things, give an explanation of why it's done a certain approach or what an alternative could be. And what I'm actually finding ChatGPT do a lot of is giving me a lot of outputs that are really well thought through with a lot of reasoning. And then it will actually give me outputs at the end, which are actually really nice summaries. So I know why it's come to that, but then it gives me the actual recommendation at the end. And I'm like, right, that's what I'm going to continue with. So lots of different ways to structure the prompts and things to think about. But we will get good at this because there is something that can really help us with making a good prompt. And that's actually a technique called iteration. But before we get on to iteration, I just want to just give a few guiding tips on the context that you give a ChatGPT prompt. So you're definitely being purposeful when you prompt. And we'd always say the better ChatGPT will depend on the amount of context you give it, but it's all about making sure that the context you give it is both meaningful and relevant. So, for example, when you are briefing ChatGPT, you might be uploading company documents. So that's your previous briefing documents. It might be a company guideline. It might be an engagement survey. It might be a report or a summary. So that's really useful context. But what you don't want to do is give ChatGPT a 100-page document because it will be overwhelmed and it will just churn out a lot of irrelevant content and information. So just make sure what you upload is short and sharp and really relevant. One of the things that I would really strongly advise you to do when prompting is ChatGPT will always scan and prioritize anything at the top of the prompt or at the bottom of a prompt. For example, that you can see on the page, it's actually giving the instruction of the task at the very bottom of the prompt to the point where it's actually said most important. Create a detailed run-of-show document, including specific timing, transitions, and key talking points for this town hall. And as you can see, the additional context has been really clearly laid out just in bullets to help with ChatGPT to create that run sheet. It's a company, 250 people. It's on date at X time, duration, platform, the essentials for creating a really detailed run sheet. So just an example there. And the last thing that I would say is if you really want ChatGPT to get better at responses to your prompts, one of the things that you can do is to supply it with examples. And obviously, you can do that with tone of voice, but supply it with an example, like even the engagement survey is one, and ask it to summarize, because with that action of getting it to summarize, it will create the memory that it will be more easily able to retrieve when you prompt the next time. Okay. So prompting is all around iteration. So doing it again, doing it again, doing it again. And as you do that, one of the key things is just to take a little bit of time. Like I know we're all busy in our workday, but when we get a prompt and we do it and the response is not great, it's just the perfect time to go, okay, stop, right? Learning moment and evaluate the output that you got and really figure out like what's missing in AI's response. And what's a really good thing to do at that point in time is then to go back and clarify the prompt, okay? So on every window of ChatGPT, you will know that there's a little pencil icon, okay? So every prompt that you input into ChatGPT is able to be edited. So it's always great to go back into the original prompt, edit it, and incorporate the feedback of what's missing, right? Because that's helping to train, and also the context of what wasn't great is helping improve the prompt for next time. Okay. So the second or third attempt of getting your prompts better will always yield dramatically better results. And that's much better than going and having a conversation with ChatGPT of, yeah, I'm not sure you're right, ChatGPT. I think it's a bit more like this. I think you may have missed that. It's just much more efficient and on point to go back and edit that original prompt. Okay, so this is the little pencil icon. And just one thing about memory. So every time you're prompting and you're getting outputs, that's always going into the ChatGPT memory. And sometimes, and definitely what I've been finding in the last couple of months is that I will create a project, I'll create an outline for a meetup or a course. And then as I go through, I'll start to change it and go, oh, I want the name changed. I want it to do this and not that. And sometimes you end up getting conflicting information. So that's where sometimes it's really good to start searching GPT to go, right, I don't want that information anymore. Please go back and change it and update it. Or you can delete it. And I'll show you how you can delete the information in the back end of settings as well, right? So the take out of this is that it's always easiest to update your initial prompt. You're learning at the same time, and you're also helping ChatGPT to understand what great prompting looks like for you. So what is good news is that there are tools that we can easily access to learn how to prompt better and to learn along the way as we iterate on improving our prompts also. There's two tools I want to call out. One is OpenAI's Prompt Optimizer. It is on their developer platform, but it is a tool that I like to use to see how to make my prompts better. Because when it comes to optimizing your prompts, what OpenAI does is it gives you reasoning where and why it's optimized your prompts, and it applies ChatGPT 5 best practice. So that's really interesting. The other prompt you might be aware of already and are using, it's Prompt Cowboy. It's a really easy prompt optimizer to use, and it's also great for helping you give it more inputs to make the prompts even better as well. So let's just do a quick demo of each. So I'm just going to jump into the prompt optimizer that OpenAI offers. It's this page here. You do need to log into it and access it via the link that I've given you. Easy to sign up to, it takes 3 seconds if you don't already have a login. So I have written exceptionally quickly a prompt, and it's not a great prompt for the purposes of this exercise because I want it to be improved. It's just effectively a download of imagining where I'd want to start with a prompt. So I have asked it to act like a senior marketing copywriter. I have asked it for a LinkedIn post that is word count bound. I've asked it to generate a LinkedIn post talking about AI hacks for time poor mum. So I've given it an audience and I've given a bit of context for what I want the post to talk about, which is being able to generate really quickly weekly meal planners by uploading photos of the contents in your fridge and cupboards. Okay, I've talked to a little bit about tone, and I've asked it to generate different headlines and a call to action. So yes, definitely, there's a lot of information missing from what I'd ordinarily put into a prompt for a post, but it's a great starter for a tool to optimize. So we're just going to press the optimize button at the bottom, and as OpenAI screens the post and analyzes it. It just sort of talks you through what it's fixing. So it's resolving conflicts, it's looking for consistency in the prompt. It's looking at how it can optimize for clarity, order, and being super clear on the outputs that you want the prompt to give. It's also looking at, is there enough reasoning there for what it wants me to do if it's a really complex prompt? I mean, this is the perfect space for if you're doing a really, really complex task to come in and help use this tool to format it in ways that are really logical and clear. So it's also looking at this prompt for format issue. It's fixing format gaps as well. So it should just be able to look at it and in a couple of seconds generate an output. And as it generates an output, what it also does is it gives us not only the optimized prompt, but it also highlights the areas of the prompt that it suggests to be optimized. And then, as you'll see in a moment, we'll be able to click on the areas that it's optimized and see, here you can see where it's optimized, the highlights in blue. And we can just tick on these little speech bubbles here, and it will give you the reasoning behind the change. So we're looking at the optimized prompt now, and you can see it looks very different. It's much longer, it has bullet points, and it has sections, okay? So for example, the first section, it's rewritten instructions to be clear, step-by-step directions. It's improved readability and reduced the conversational tone compared to the original. And if I click on this one, reasoning behind change here, it's actually asking itself to give a concise checklist when it comes to giving your output. And that's using ChatGPT 5 best practice for decomposing a prompt, which is really breaking it out into steps and structuring it. So this is just a great tool for understanding how to structure prompts, understanding what OpenAI loves to receive from you when you prompt. And so if you love that, then you can just simply go up and press copy and paste it into ChatGPT 5. So there you go. That's OpenAI's prompt optimizer for developers, but we can also use it too. And then let's go into Prompt Cowboy. So you can see much friendlier interface here, and it's got a very clear prompt box to simply copy and paste your prompt into. We're using the same prompt here as last time, and we just press glow and it will analyze and talk to that. You can also see that Prompt Cowboy can also research topics and brainstorm with you too. So it really quickly summarizes your prompt, great prompt. Similarly to OpenAI, it's structuring it into sections, situation, task, objective, knowledge. We're also using a lot of bullet points, and it also delivers the output requirements. Okay, because remember we saw before in the last slide around purposeful prompting that the AI assistants will always scan top and bottom for the most important instructions and really output as your most important instructions here. And so they're bulleted there. Now, what I also love about OpenAI is that it really helps to improve your prompt. It asks for, do you already have existing LinkedIn posts that it can use to guide it from various examples? It also asks you for target audience details that even understands your target enough to give examples of what some of the pain points are to help generate even more relevant content. So yeah, absolutely. Us busy working moms are juggling work deadlines with dinner prep stress. We're definitely carrying the mental load of meal planning. And sometimes we have guilt about not having time for preparing healthy family meals. So that's really fantastic. And then it also prompts you with, hang on, well, how does this really reflect Wellspirit's brand positioning? So yeah, we're a brand that definitely wants to provide AI productivity solutions for busy professionals, and we're a supportive community offering practical life hacks. So let's just go and put that content in and then context, and let's improve the prompt from here. So let's see what it does. So just going up, it's just analyzing, and it will come out with the revised prompt in any second, and here it goes. So as you can see, it's got even more context in. It's come through in terms of pulling in those pain points of juggling work deadlines with dinner prep stress. So I mean, that's just amazing. It'll give us content that's really on point, and it's just fleshed out a little bit more around the output requirements. So again, it's so easy. Just simply press copy, open ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, and paste in. So that will really help you learn how to prompt and iterate. So that's our demo. And on to learning about the different style of prompting as well and the use of examples. So what I want to do is share with you the different types of prompting there is. This is prompting language that a lot of people will talk about, but basically using examples can really help to improve the prompts that you give AI in terms of priming it with style, tone, and clarity. And so there's three different ways that we talk about giving examples. So zero-shot prompting approach is just asking ChatGPT to do something with no examples. And when you do that, it can lead to generic outputs. The one-shot approach is when you provide a single example. Now that's getting really a lot better and can be effective. But one thing to watch out is that when you do give ChatGPT just one example, sometimes it can be really specific and mimic it to the nth degree, which is great if you want it like for like, but if you're just giving it as an inspiration, then what is a better approach is the two-shot approach. And that's including a range or multiple uses of examples. And that gets AI a much broader indication of what you're looking for to give back to you. So that's a much higher quality type of prompt. So definitely use variations as much as you can within your examples to avoid being too rigid. When you're prompting with, say, 3 to 7 different pieces of reference content or examples, what you sometimes use is triple quotes. So triple quotes, or they're often called delimiters, to house the reference examples. It just helps ChatGPT knowing the difference between when you've put an example from when you're instructing it to make sure ChatGPT doesn't get confused. And what can also help when you prompt with examples and a lot of content is definitely just start to structure your prompt. And you can even title it like, here's context, here's instructions, here's desired output. Okay, just helping ChatGPT to step through your prompts that you give it. Okay, so I'm just going to stop here and ask if anyone has any questions on anything, because there is so much more to cover off when it comes to prompting. So it's like meta prompting, JSON prompting, a lot more. But I just wanted to know if anyone had any questions or if anything's really not clear. It's your time to pop something in the chat. Shout out now. Give me thumbs up. How are we feeling about prompting? Is there anything they didn't know or may have learned or might want to try something a little bit different?
I had a question. So the optimizer then gives you the reasons why you need to change it and suggests, but it doesn't rewrite it for you. You still have to then go back and rewrite it.
It will rewrite it.
I had a question about the optimizer. So we have to open a separate page because it's not included in ChatGPT yet. Do you think it's coming?
No, it's completely different. It's part of OpenAI's Academy platform. So you have to go onto that specific link. But you can just Google, take me to OpenAI's prompt optimizer. Great. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Like personalization. I want to get us onto this topic. So one of the things when you use ChatGPT a lot, it's really good to make sure that you're giving it all of the information it needs to really behave like your personal assistant. Again, to help prime it with style, tone, and clarity. And there's 2 ways that we can do it, okay? And this is kind of a bit behind the scenes, and I'll show you how we do it. But one of the things is to use custom instructions. So this is letting ChatGPT know how you want it to behave in terms of the role it takes, the tone it uses, and the output habits that it has for the outputs it gives you. So that's one lever, and we'll come and explore this in a second. The second lever is memory. And it's really important to keep updating the memory based on all of what it remembers from what you put in, from what it reads and scans, and from the outputs it creates. And so it has a memory of stable facts about you, your brand, if you're using it for both work and personal. So it's up to you to make sure you're monitoring what ChatGPT is remembering about you, okay? Now, if you don't want ChatGPT to leverage its memory and everything it knows about you, then what you can do is just use a temporary chat, and that temporary chat button's just always at the top right hand of your ChatGPT screen. And so you can just ask a question and it will randomly come back to you with zero context or background based on its memory. So that's sometimes quite handy to have that if you want a completely different opinion on something. Okay, so let's explore, first of all, the memory. Okay, so what I'd like you to do, if you have ChatGPT open, and again, I can demo for anyone who doesn't, is to go into where you can see your name, which is at the very bottom left of your screen. And if you click on your name, you'll see what pops up, settings or personalization, either or. You can click on settings and then click on personalization, and it will bring you to the screen that you can see on the slide in front of us. And so this is where memories are stored. And you can see here that you get a choice to tell ChatGPT whether or not to reference saved memories and to reference chat history when it comes to respond to your prompts. Okay, so for me, working on Wellspirit, for example, I really want to give ChatGPT as much context, and I really want it to keep remembering everything that I give it, so my answers in the future are richer and richer and richer. So they're both turned on. Okay, and so when we want to manage memory, then what we can do is, and I'm just going to show you, on this, settings, personalization. Let me know if no one can find that or having difficulty. Okay, so in personalization is where you will find memory. Okay, now what you can do is you click on the manage button here, and what it's going to do, and I'm going to show the world my memory of everything that I've ever put into ChatGPT. It will detail all of the most major data points it has about you. Okay, now I've already gone through this a number of times and cleaned it out. The biggest learning I had was I use this for Wellspirit and other things, but I also use it for parenting. And so I have a parenting coach within ChatGPT, and I was also writing LinkedIn posts about the challenges of parenting, and it started to take some of the memories from my own personal experiences of my 5-year-old into the LinkedIn post. And I'm like, hang on, I either need to create a different complete ChatGPT version for personal and for work, but it was also important for me to perhaps delete some of the memories here that I didn't want it to take forward moving forward. And so, of course, also if your business changes or projects change, it's really important just to come in and make sure that it's got the most accurate information and up-to-date information about you or your company saved in memories here. And so you can see that you can just remove any memory you don't like or is out of date. Really easy. Okay, so that's that there. Now I'm just going to go back.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
At the moment, I work with ChatGPT with each project, but I have a project for personal stuff, a project for one business, a project for another business. So these memories are per project, or it's not really, I should have almost like a ChatGPT that I pay for business and another one I pay for personal.
Yeah, my personal recommendation would be to have separate ones.
Okay, thank you.
I was just wondering about it as well, because I looked at my memories and I don't have, there's only 3, and it's all the personal stuff which isn't in a project folder. So I wonder if there's separate memories for your separate projects as well. But
yeah, so memory will filter across everything.
Yeah.
But projects, when you're prompting, will only take from the prompting context you've given. But memory is memory, so memory filters generally through across the board. So that's why it's really important that if it's completely irrelevant, just take it out of the memory. Okay, so one of the most important things that you can do is, to go back to here, is actually go into ChatGPT and ask it what it knows about you. Okay, so ask it, prompt it right now. What do you know about me, Philippa Sutherland, founder of Wellspirit? Okay, and that will start to summarize and retrieve everything from the memory that is relevant about you right now. And so that will be a really good reflection to say, oh, I don't want ChatGPT to remember that about me. And that's when you know to then go into the memory and manage it and delete it. Okay. So I won't do that for me now. Otherwise you'll see my life's work. Else, but I encourage you to do that as an exercise, to go in, write ChatGPT. You can be a bit more specific. What do you remember about me? Or what is it about me that's unique? Or what have you learned about me in the last 30 days? And then it's a great way to go, right, I think actually ChatGPT should be saying this about me. It's not. There's a big gap about what I want you to know about me. And it might be you've just started a new job. And so that's when you would then write into ChatGPT to go, oh, ChatGPT, I've just started a new job. This is the role. This is the job description. Please remember it. Okay. And then hopefully it'll store that in the memory, but it'll also have that new context as well, right? So you're almost just double checking that it's stored that information about you so it can be retrieved at a later date. All right. Okay. The other way, you can just ask it to search for a specific piece of data, a specific like description of what you're doing ages ago to see if it's still stored it or not, and then update it in the chat as well. So you've got either your ability to update the context you're giving it and the information in chat, or you can go into your memories and manage your memories back here in the personalization settings. All right. So one of the exercises that you can do is to get it to analyze your tone of voice, right? So now if you haven't already asked ChatGPT to analyze your tone of voice, this is what I would do. I would get 5 to 6 examples of a style of the writing that you love, that you think is always on brand or reflective of you, and you'd ask it to analyze it. So you'd ask ChatGPT to analyze my tone of voice across these pieces of content in terms of what you see in language structure and formatting, okay? So by doing that, that will help give ChatGPT context within the chat. And then what we would do with it is we're just going to go now. If you remember the 2 levers, custom instructions, memory, we've done memory, but now we can start to personalize ChatGPT more with custom instructions. So you are still in the same screen of ChatGPT that you were before. So memory, you're just going to scroll up. You're on the personalization tab. You're just going to scroll up right to the top. Now, I keep personalization light because in my projects, I'm giving more specific project relevant information to ChatGPT. What I find is that my tone of voice differs depending on whether I'm talking to Wellspirit, whether I'm advising the marketing startup that I advise, or whether I'm doing LinkedIn posts talking about my own personal experience. So I keep my custom instructions really top line. But I'll give you an example of the type of custom instructions that you could do, and I'll give you a cheat sheet of the custom instructions you could put in here, which is really specific for language. So it's completely up to you to how much you put in custom instructions and how much you don't. But what's important is that you do tick and make sure enable customizations on. And for example, it's so light for me right now. It just says use British English. One of the things I don't like is the M dash. That really annoys me. So that's one thing that I just say do not do. This must not be used. And I just say do not use emojis. So that's very brief. And then I give context and custom instructions elsewhere in ChatGPT. But let's sort of give an example of what you could put in. So in the custom instructions box, you could say, here's a little bit about me. I'm this role in this market. My audience is, and you could give a brief description of your primary audience and give it a little bit of a feel for what success could look like for you. Okay. You could also give it a bit of information of how to respond every time it's responding to your prompts, as the example I gave before. Use whatever language, spelling, if there's a specific type of spelling, or if you don't want acronyms to be, if you want them to be avoided, this is where you could put tone. And I'll come on to this in a second. You might want to say all of your answers need to be bulleted. All of your answers might need to be concise. You might want it to start to do a little bit more when it gives you your answers. For example, when you respond to one of my prompts, please at the end, ask up to 3 clarifying questions if the context I've given you is thin, right? So therefore it's actually working hard for you, saying, I don't think you've given me enough for my prompt, give me more. And then there's a lot of, if you're doing a lot of deep research or a lot of analysis, then, and I'm just going to very, very brief example here, cite claims of links, but you could be very specific around the types of annotations you want, the reference materials, and how it does all of that really specifically. And I won't talk about it anymore now, but I'll give you some references as to what that could look like and how you could optimize your custom instructions here. And then back to the tone of voice. So on the previous page, we asked ChatGPT to analyze up to 6 different pieces of content. We could ask ChatGPT from that summary of that tone of voice you have provided me, could you then just write me a custom instruction so you can start to sound like me? And sort of take your tone of voice and then just give you a one-liner custom instruction, which you then could copy and paste into here. Okay, so you do that, and then you would just save, close it down, and then go back into ChatGPT and prompt it and test it out and see what it gives back. And if you don't like it, you can go back in and optimize. Okay, but this is just all around personalizing for what you need. All right, I realize that time is pressing, so I think what we could do is roll over projects into our second ChatGPT session, which will be the following Tuesday, if that's okay. But in the meantime, I will be sharing cheat sheets on project creation and tasks, okay? Because I appreciate that it's a 12-to-1 session. Let's do projects and tasks when we come back and deep dive into GPT. In a fortnight's time, we will also do custom GPTs and we'll do automated workflows and deploy agent mode then. So how was that, guys? Any feedback is going to be appreciated. We're all in this learning journey together and I love feedback. So put it in there. I know that I need to have a better way to access my prompts. So that's a great learning for me. But first of all, I just wanted to say thank you guys for showing up. It's been amazing that you're committing to learning AI because I think it's really important. And yes, we will record this, even though I'm like, I would have loved it to be so much, slicker, but that's okay. Yes, all sessions were recorded. All links will be shared in the chat. And any feedback, that'll be so appreciated. This is all about getting your feedback to making this these sessions better and better. Okay. So big thank you to you all. Thank you so much and can't wait for the session on Thursday with Gao. Big thanks, guys.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.